The process of the child welfare system is represented by this slide. The initial moment when the child first has contact with the system is triggered by someone who identifies a problem. It could be a teacher, an adult that knows the child, a friend's parent, law enforcement, counselors, or medical personnel such as nurses, doctors, or dentists. The next step is that a report is made to Child Protective Services, and they will do an intake and investigation into whether the allegations are substantiated or if there is insufficient evidence. If substantiated, the child may be taken out of the home or appropriate services are put in the home and the child can remain. A longer-term assessment is done, which would consider exactly what services are needed to be given to the family so that the child's needs can be met. A longer-range case plan is developed, which assures that the proper treatment is given to the child. A caseworker will check in to assure that the needed treatment is being received, that the parents are going to parenting classes or substance abuse treatment, that they're staying clean, and that children are being properly taken care of. Sometimes the child is removed and placed in foster care while the parents are getting services, and sometimes they remain in the home, depending on the severity of the abuse, the dependency, or neglect. Continual evaluation is done, but it does not go on for an infinite amount of time. Services are only given for so long, generally about a year, because there has to be a long-range plan for the children to assure that they're taken care of, whether that is in or out of the home. The case at some point will be closed. If the court's intervention is necessary, in most states that takes place after Child Protective Services has had at least some chance to provide services. In some states, this happens at the very beginning of the process, and in other states the courts don't get involved until later in the process. If the parents don't improve the conditions for the child, and the child is at high risk in terms of their safety or welfare, then the courts may decide to either commit the child to foster care or a group home, and or to terminate the parent's rights. In the most severe cases of abuse, the parents may be prosecuted for criminal acts. A big difference between the welfare system and the juvenile system is that the aim of the welfare system is reunification of the family whenever possible. So all efforts are made to that goal. In the juvenile justice system, the goals are generally balanced between rehabilitation of the child, community safety, and punishment. And you have to understand that sometimes a child's behaviors could fall under one or the other category. The welfare system takes care of not only dependency, abuse, and neglect cases, but also persons in need of supervision. Those types of situations include status offenses, which, if you remember from previous in the semester, includes behaviors such as runaway and beyond control of parent. So, let's say a child gets into a big argument with their parents and starts yelling and cursing at them in a parking lot. Is that disorderly conduct or beyond control of parent? Or takes a car without permission. Is it theft by unlawful taking or beyond control of parent? Either scenario could play out either way, but the welfare system would focus on reunification, whereas the juvenile justice system would have a different goal. This chart gives you an idea of the average length of stay for children that have been placed in foster care. Most children are in placement less than a year. For the most part, if a child has not returned home after a year of placement, the state will seek to terminate parental rights. If rights are terminated, some of these children will be adopted, while some may be in state's custody until they age out at 18 years. While only a small majority of these children age out, it's still a very tragic situation for those children, particularly those that may spend the majority of their child home in a group home due to no available or appropriate foster care homes. I want to end the chapter emphasizing how important family life is as a factor regarding delinquency. The quality of family life is a more significant factor than whether there are two parents in the household, and that parental rejection is associated with delinquent behavior, and that inconsistent, lax, or severe discipline is also associated with delinquent behavior. We have also seen at least a partial link between child abuse and neglect and delinquent behavior and status offenses.